opinion based on implication, a house built on a sandy foundation. The statement, that same night he was taken by wicked hands to be crucified and slain, the great controversy, page 399, does not mean, as some think, that he was crucified that night, but rather it means simply, just as it says, that he was taken to be crucified. Accordingly, though taken that same night, he could have been crucified days after, if need be, and as actually was the case. Likewise, neither does the statement, on this last evening with his disciples, the desire of ages, page 643, mean that it was the last evening before he was crucified, but rather that it was the last evening with his disciples before his death. The timetable in the Shepherd's Rod, Volume 2, pages 23 through 25, is not designed to show the precise time of the events as some, in their own interest, want to make it say. Rather, its purpose is only to give an idea of how long it may have taken to accomplish all that would have had to be done for the feast if the lamb had been killed just at the exact moment of the setting of the sun, showing the impossibility of accomplishing in one day all that was done in connection with the Passover, betrayal, trial, crucifixion, and burial. Those who have attempted to crowd the 6th hour that signalized Jesus' trial in Pilate's judgment hall, and the 6th hour that commenced the darkness while he was on the cross, a period of 12 hours, into a watch of 4 hours, think the two scriptures are in perfect harmony with their idea, when, in plain fact, as here seen, they are as irreconcilable as night and day. Yet these same ones are having no end of perverse enjoyment in their not being able to reconcile the midnight seizure with the time as tabulated in the aforementioned timetable, which, according to their understanding, represents 3 or 4 hours discrepancy. Why have they not used the watch system here where it can be used? The timetable is not endeavoring to show the midnight seizure, but simply the time that the Jews laid hold on Jesus, when he was brought before the priests and, in particular, before the Sanhedrin, Matthew chapter 26, verse 57. See chart, The Shepherd's Rod, Volume 2, page 22. Whereas the desire of ages, pages 699 and 760, is speaking of the time that he was seized in the garden, Matthew chapter 26, verse 50. The midnight seizure. If the midnight seizure, the trial before Pilate, the crucifixion, and the burial of Jesus all took place in one day, Friday, then how could he have been seized in the garden shortly after midnight, led from there successively to Annas, to Caiaphas, to the Sanhedrin, and to Pilate, and yet be in Pilate's judgment hall about midnight? This utter impossibility alone should convince anyone with an understanding mind that these events must necessarily have consumed 2 days, and that any argument supporting the idea that they consumed but 1 day is not against the exposition of the Shepherd's Rod, but against the testimonies of Mark and John, who were eyewitnesses to these events. Other such confusing remarks have been made, but as we have given due consideration to all the major ones, the minor ones merit no comment. Suffice it to say that our experience in gospel publishing work teaches us that many who have spent almost countless hours of precious time in confusing the subject of the sign of Jonah have spent but very little time in studying more essential subjects such as the prohibition against private interpretations of the Scriptures, 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 19 and 20. The spirit of prophecy, Revelation chapter 19, verse 10. The Sabbath, Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. Baptism, Matthew chapter 3, verse 15, Acts chapter 2, verse 38. The kingdom, Isaiah chapter 2, verse 2, the slaughter of Ezekiel 9, tithe paying, Malachi chapter 3, verse 10. Although these vital subjects call for performance, a duty to practice the truths which they teach, whereas the sign of Jonah demands nothing. After one acquires all the knowledge necessary pertaining to the sign of Jonah, he is neither better nor worse off so far as his Christianity is concerned, without taking into account the time wasted if his conclusions on the subject be wrong. But what is still worse, should a group of people who are rightly proclaiming all the revealed doctrines disagree with these zealous preachers of the sign of Jonah as to what the heart of the earth may mean, the latter will in most instances not only forsake fellowshipping with their brethren and cease helping to proclaim the more important doctrines, but will also become so obsessed with their pet idea that their minds cannot comprehend much else. To just such a class of people, he answered and said unto them, An evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given to it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. Matthew chapter 12, verse 39. And here they have it. The Jews actually saw the sign, but because of their unbelief, they failed to profit by it. We hope, though, that the failure of the sign seekers in those days will be a warning to the sign seekers in these days. Now, by studying the front page chart, the reader can quickly summarize the entire subject and thus obtain a lasting picture of the scripturally immovable signposts of each event, concluding the impossibility of judging him before both the Jewish and the Roman judiciaries, in addition to mocking and crucifying him in 3 short hours, from sunrise, the 12th hour, to the 3rd hour. In other words, the chart shows that it is utterly impossible in 3 short hours to have at least 1 trial before the Sanhedrin, 2 before Pilate, and 1 before Herod, making a total of no less than 4 trials besides the time to crucify him. Dividing the total time consumed, 3 hours, by the total number of events, 5, we find that there would be only 36 minutes for each event. But merely walking from one place of judgment to another, along with arranging the trials, would alone have consumed more than 3 hours.